Hello and welcome to Moonlit Magic. We are here to celebrate the energy of the Virgo New Moon and clarify what we are planting. We have this opportunity to really fortify our roots, these foundations that we've been creating, trust ourselves. So it's important not to believe the anxiety and self-doubt that might be coming up right now. It is vital to know who we are and be anchored to ourselves and what we want and believe. So that's what will manifest, what we believe about ourselves.
So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're familiar with us already, you've been following along for a little while in our Facebook group, The Secret Society of Self-Care. We can look back and see what we were planting 6 months ago or even a month ago and clarify that for ourselves. Where were we then and how do these messages land now? We shouldn't be just looking forward. We also should be looking at our progress and where we have come from, because we have made so many steps that we've forgotten about.
Now, this is the energy overall for this lunar phase and how to handle it. Meditation is going to be really important because this Virgo energy really can bring up a lot of perfectionist tendencies, which can be absolutely wonderful unless they are someone else's version of perfectionism. We're trying to please others. So meditation is going to help us to identify where the anxieties or pressures are coming from. We have so much energy to work with. I want you to understand your power is here, and creating a routine, a habit of self-care for yourself is going to be so powerful for you. Clarify where the anxiety comes from. What's you and what is us trying to please others, and what are we going to let go of because it's not serving us anymore, okay? Because our life has changed and we need to reflect that in what we believe about ourselves. So let's start off with this just to get the energy going, and then we will revisit Crystal Bath. It's going to come up later as a short meditation for the Virgo New Moon. Meditation is a creative process. It is not something we do or need to learn. It is simply a connection back to who you are. It is called a practice because it is training you into alignment to just be in a space of allowing thoughts and feelings rise and fall without you having any attachment. In this allowing, easy, non-resistant space, you may realize that there are aspects of yourself that you need to heal or recognize. Be you, for you are wonderful. Okay, just recognizing that as we move through the world, that we have this power to make choices, new choices every time. If we don't like something that's going on, especially as adults, we have the power to leave situations or move forward in different directions that maybe we wouldn't have before. Now, we're going to move into number 2. This is where we will find satisfaction this lunar phase. Manifestation. Now, what did I tell you about manifestation? That is what we're doing here. Earth. Again, Virgo is an earth energy. So this is anchoring things in. What do you want to see coming through in your life 6 months, a year, 5 years from now? You need to not necessarily know and have that mapped out, planned out every detail, and you can't possibly do that. But you need to have an idea and a direction about what you want your life to look like when the time comes. You need to get clear and stop believing opposing things about yourself. The self-doubt is what clouds and makes the manifestation feel chaotic or confusing. It's not quite what we want, okay? Because we don't believe that we deserve what we really want. We're not ready to have it or receive it. We would self-sabotage. So let's just be honest about it. Right action. Let everything that wants to go, go, and let everything that wants to come, come. There's a very strong desire to control things and make them perfect. And that's just not the way things work. So the right thing to do, instead of guilting yourself about decisions you didn't make or mistakes, things that you wanted to do or should have done, the right action is to let it go from here and see what unfolds. What do you want your life to feel like? And if you don't enjoy it right now, then examine that. So the Virgo full snow moon in February was the very first one we did. And when we started that, we didn't really realize that this was going to be kind of like an archive of energy that we're receiving. So it's a clarity. And the energy I was getting at that point was there was almost an anxious feeling. There was this opportunity to illuminate where the anxiety was felt deep inside of us, okay? And where that created illusions for us. And we're seeing that mirrored again here with much less illusion. It's just we can see it. We see this is what life looks like now. Does this feel right? Like the habits we have, the routines, the rhythms, does that feel like the right pace for you? Do you want to keep this up forever? Because if not, I know that not everything is within your control, okay? Some things we have to kind of wait on and we can't just cut them out right now. But it's time to start clarifying what you want in the future. So what comes forward is what we desire. And in 6 months, let's say we look at what is coming through and we again clarify. We use the opportunity to illuminate so we can continue to clarify what we are creating and bringing into our lives, allowing, accepting, calling into our lives. So don't let the anxiety be the root of that. And so that's why it's so important to notice and see it. Now we can plan for it. We can see it differently. So if you didn't see that and you didn't have the opportunity to experience that with us, go back to the Virgo full snow moon. Look at what the energy was manifesting there. Examine where were you 6 months ago and what did life feel like for you then? How does it feel compared to now? And are you moving in the right direction? What do you need to let go of? Where is it time to make decisions to kind of let the pressure off? Because again, there's a lot of pressure right now to make things just right, and we can't control everything. What can we control? What steps do we need to take? And what things do we need to let go of? All right. In the moment, if you can, remove your judgment and criticism and truly listen to someone. You will empower them. The anxieties and doubts that were voices from your childhood that are reflecting back to you now. You want to notice those, to let go of them, clear them, and move on. Now, this is something to set our intentions towards. Reconciliation. Very interesting. Guidance. When you make divine intelligence your foundation, you finally have a fixed star to follow. We are starting to see this listening to someone, reconciliation. This might be someone that we've parted ways with because we were not on the same path before. It just meant it was for that time that you were supposed to go separate ways. That there might be someone's voice that comes through to you, an unexpected voice of the past. Sit with, notice, don't just accept every old person that shows up in your life. You need to trust yourself and what is meeting you where you are now. Don't go back into some old mindset to meet people that have chosen not to grow, okay? It's okay to listen to people and let them tell you who they are, show you who they are, without judgment. Again, let them show you and tell you and prove that to you with their actions. Let them come, let them go. Don't overthink it. Create healthy boundaries with those around you. So being aware, listening, okay? We're listening to those, like, people are going to come in. regardless, you don't get a choice on this. People are going to show up in your life. They're going to show up out of nowhere. And it's time to start listening to yourself, your inner voice, who is meant to be here and stick around, who is meant to kind of bounce off you and send the other way with a healthy boundary. It doesn't have to be rude, but it also doesn't have to be polite. Listen to yourself. Don't let people in just because they're familiar or they had access to you before. It's not up to me. It's up to you. What feels right to you? What do you want? You need to sit with it, okay, in meditation, or move with it, process it. Don't run from it. Make new choices about relationships in your life and really truly trust those where you don't have a guilt. Move forward with your life where you are now. This is something to be aware of. Spirit guide. Expansiveness. Eternity is far more creative than the rigid, constrained, exhausted ego. And holy wow. You know what I love about these so much is that I feel so honored by this every single time. The energy is always so strong, and it has such a cohesive message, and it always matches the energy of the moon or whatever we're talking about. Again and again anchors in that there is power that we cannot see, okay? So what is coming into our lives? We have so many choices. The boundaries are energy. Trust yourself. That's the one thing that is causing this back and forth, the self-doubt. You feel like the pendulum swing from trusting yourself and being confident to the self-doubt and the anxiety, and not believing in yourself. And there could be so many reasons for that, but don't buy into it. Fight. Find the resources you need to fight, and they are beyond you. There's energy that is surrounding you in not only support and boosting this, but so much love. This is the thing that you experience in that creative space. You come out of that, again, rigid, constrained, exhausted mind, and you sink into something that is just, it's unexplainable, okay? Have that for yourself, if that might be your meditation. Guys, I'm making a mess today. I always make a mess, though sometimes you just don't see it. Also, a sense of humor helps with that the exhausted mind and ego thing. But again, the spirit, just let yourself expand in this. Whatever feels true to you, don't run from it. Don't let anybody chase that away from you because they are worried or afraid. If you don't feel afraid, don't take on that fear from others, okay? Don't listen to anyone who is chasing you around telling you that you can't trust yourself. Take time to acknowledge the subtle changes in your spiritual evolution. There it is. Planting the seeds is energetic. It's not, you don't have to go out and do something to make this happen. You just need to believe in how valuable you are, how powerful you are. You need to believe that your choices are everything, that your manifestation in life has to do with your clarity about who you are and what you want and your choices. It doesn't mean you have to have the resources immediately available to you. You maybe have to experience it to believe it. But if you always are skeptical, you're gonna throw a wrench in it. You cannot experience the magic if you don't believe in it at least a little bit. If you're not open to it, you will not experience it. And I hate to tell you that, but you decide your perspective. On to number 5. This is a lesson we may face in this lunar phase. Well-being. Virgo energy as well, I want to mention, has a lot to do with health, body, routine, habit. So self-care, a deep sense of well-being is going to be all the way through our mind, body, and spirit. I no longer want this fiery ring of resentment to block the good. That's that ego. The exhausted ego is resentment, bitterness. Release me from its bonds. So the well-being that we want for ourselves, whatever that may be, whatever we feel is lacking, whether that be mind, body, or spirit, whatever we're feeling is depleted, it has a lot to do with holding on to a resentment or bitterness. It's like binding us from really opening up to this expansiveness, this goodness, okay, this spiritual evolution that guides us to boundaries that don't feel like walls. You know, it is important for a time that we release a lot of bonds to see what really is true, who wants to move forward, and who we're sharing paths with. It doesn't mean anything is wrong or bad about those people who move on from us, or us moving on from them. And we have to stop hanging on to that sort of thing. Let things go and let things come, right? The guidance is coming from within. So knowing who you are, being anchored into you, the roots of who you are. If there's something down there that is inhibiting the growth, you have to go and find it to free yourself from it, okay? That's why the meditation, again, is so important. The anxiety voice isn't necessarily true, but it is illuminating something to us that we need to look at. Learn to keep your heart open and soft through the trials of life. Overall, we don't want to become hardened or harsh because of what we've experienced. For a little while, when you first start to ever put up boundaries, they are harsh and you are angry and you feel a lot of sacred rage and things that you have not acknowledged, that you've been pushing down for a very long time. So it's very natural to feel all that come up, the resentment. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is time at a certain point to let it go, to feel free from that. That is a phase where we wall ourselves in and everybody kind of disappears from our lives and new people come in, a whole new type of hobbies or interests enter our lives, new job. It's some whole new shift in your life because everything that you had before, all of a sudden it feels like it's gone. It could be relationships, it could be a home or where you lived, the way that your family looked. There's so many things that can change in an instant in every direction that we cannot control. The only thing that we can control is choosing the steps that we take to fulfill our own satisfaction and desires long term. Make a choice to step away from things that you don't enjoy anymore. You do come out of that and find this like a lot of beautiful relationships and experiences on the other side. So hold on to yourself. Don't mask yourself back up. Don't cover it back up again. Don't hide again. You rest when you need to rest, okay? You go to that place and you meditate and you be on your own when you need that, but that is not where you are meant to be all the time. Find the balance in between. Okay, I went off a little bit, but you know how I am. And if you've been here for a while, you are used to this. If you're still hanging in, I really, really appreciate you. Please like this video, subscribe if you are new, and if you are enjoying this, please share this with a friend. This is number 6. It's going to be a resource to pay attention to. Compassion. Go revisit the Aquarius full sturgeon moon. Sorry I said that super slow, but I had to think about it. The blue sturgeon moon, because we had 2 Aquarius full moons. That was the overall theme of that particular moon reading. So if you want to pay attention to that resource in detail, it's in the archive and you can go watch that next. Sacrifice. Sometimes surrender is painful. God's cutting away of all that needs to go. Illusions, obsessions, addictions. It is a sacrifice to love. We can clear these illusions, get clear now about what is not healthy. Okay, what habits are not healthy? And there's no judgment. Do what feels good to you. Do what feels right to you, but be honest with yourself as well. It's about self-compassion, playing with things, trying things out, deciding what works for us, but we don't want to spend our lives numb. And if we're honoring ourselves, we won't want to. I promise you. And you won't be afraid to make new choices and say, oh, I made a mistake, or hey, I want to move in a different direction. This doesn't feel good to me anymore. That ego of that goes away. Things go and come into our lives a little bit more freely without trying to grasp onto control. That's why we get so exhausted. Take 5 or more minutes to concentrate on a divine feeling or higher thought, doing your best to block out all other distractions. And what's so perfect about this, I told you we would come back around to the crystal bath, and so let's do that right now. I was planning to do it at the end, and it feels right to do it right now. Sit with this for a few minutes. Grab your favorite crystal, any token that means something to you. If you were here for our Sacred Decor Live, I will also put the link to that. You would have brought an object and you would have held it and placed an intention into it. So we have a little workshop that can teach you how to do that. So pick up that object now and let's take a moment right here to stop. You have this space. You can do this. You deserve this time. Okay? Hold your favorite crystal. Close your eyes and imagine you are walking down a flight of stairs to a beautiful crystal bath filled with healing waters. Whatever comes to your mind as you are moving to your bath, let it arise and guide you to a deeper feeling within you. It might feel raw, but allow yourself to ease into it. Like a hot bath, it may sting a little to start with, but when you eventually sit in it, it feels so soothing. Step into your crystal bath and be healed and soothed by your revitalizing waters. Allow all that comes up to be there. Begin to experience yourself on a more intimate level. Surrender to the process and release all resistance. Feel free as wave after wave of soothing, crystal liquid light and love flows over you and within you. Stay here for as long as you want. When you feel ready, open your eyes and see your world through crystal clear eyes. I hope that was a nice, soothing little break in your day or evening or experience. And now that we cleared our energy, let's talk about an effective way to clear our energy because that's number 7. Truth. Look at that mirror right there too. We're looking in, okay? And we're having compassion for what we find. When we go in, here is why we don't. I'm going to be like 100% with you. The reason we don't go in is because we are afraid of the ugliness that we will find inside of ourselves, to have to admit that, to look at it, to think that we might be a monster or have been a monster. The ego does not want to see that, protecting us from the mirror. Because what's reflected back to us often is not us. It's some version of us projected onto us by an adult, a caregiver, a situation in our environment in our lives at some point that shaped us, that stripped us of our self-worth, confidence, value. Maybe we never even were given a chance to develop that in the first place. And we're terrified of what we're going to find down there, the ugliness, because we've been told that there's ugly things down there to be ashamed of. And there's just not. Most of the ugliest stuff is right on the surface, okay? I'll tell you that. It's the first shit you wade through, and that's why most people don't go any deeper. They see the ugliness of themselves. That's the ego stuff, the exhausted ego, the bitterness, the resentment. That mirrors back at you in everything you touch, okay? Until you are ready to just sink in and examine where all, like, why do we gossip? Why are we unkind? Why do we snap at people? All that stuff that comes from like a depletion or a misunderstanding of who we are at our core and how powerful we are, how loved we are, because we project that out on others. So it was projected onto us, we project it back out onto others. And if we refuse to look at it, if we refuse to go in there and be honest with ourselves, this has nothing to do with anybody else. You can't point the finger at anybody. In this particular situation, you're only the victim of yourself. I mean, because unless you are right now in that situation that has caused you harm, if you're away from that now it lives in your mind, okay? And if you're not away from that situation and you're aware of it, let's get you some help, because you don't deserve that. So one way or the other, the truth will set you free. Okay? No more bondage. The resentment is this you're resenting yourself. That's why you allow yourself to be mistreated, because you don't believe that you deserve that. Whatever someone told you about, not being worthy of whatever, in whatever voice that is, it doesn't mean they outright said that to you. It just means that you felt like you didn't measure up, or it could be anything. That you have to go in and look, or it will plague you forever. Reframe. This is happening for me, not to me. Going in is absolutely a gift. Don't be discouraged by that initial period. Again, that initial period, the shit period. Again, your ego is exhausted. You might isolate, put up walls, harsh boundaries. You have a lot of really extreme emotions. This is when you might enter like a counseling or therapy for the first time. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things will come up. You won't know how to deal with them. You won't know how to feel about them. And you'll think there's something wrong with that. You'll think there's something wrong with feeling and having chaotic emotions and expressing those. Find a way to safely do that so you're not exploding all over the people that you love or the people who love you. It's layers and layers and layers, but it's not as scary. It's just like, whoa. It's really wild to see it, but it is what it is. Don't hide from yourself. You can't outrun yourself. Just look it in the eye, okay? The demons, the monsters, once you look them in the eye, they don't have that power anymore. Seek to enlarge your appreciation of the beauty of nature, animals, and humans. You might need a break from humans. So start with something easier. Start with nature. Start with animals. Something that you can look at with less judgment, that brings you soothing, that is innately pure and just living on instinct. That's maybe what you need for the time being, so you can start to trust again in the natural order of things and your own power. A little bit of time on our own is not a bad thing. It brings us a lot of clarity. We need to find balance in the boundaries, okay? Where do the doubts and the anxieties come from? Are they based on like a real warning? I shouldn't go in that path. I need to trust my intuition and steer clear of this person. Or are they some old voice from a situation or a person from our past that broke us down, broke our self-esteem down? We have to go in, examine the truth, okay, to clear our energy. Hopefully more of these crystal bath meditations will help you if you want to sit through that multiple times. And that might be really helpful to you as well. Last month we did the New Moon, New Mood workshop, and it's all about moving through life with this intention, with this intention of just experiencing as we go and finding the balance, taking the steps, playing with it, and not demeaning ourselves for being fully human, fully experiencing life as human and healing. So that is available as well for purchase. I want to share because it just came out really powerful. I couldn't have planned it more aligned than it came out. And it's a 5-day workshop with a PDF and all that. And I just am so thankful that you're here. You are so, so special to me. Thank you so much for sharing, being here to support me. This is our final message from the cosmos for the Virgo New Moon. I want to plant something really, really beautiful, some clear, crystal clear seeds. This new moon really anchoring our foundation and our roots. So what comes up, okay, what's coming up in our lives in the future is something that we really want to see blossom, things that we want to fortify and nurture. So again, our final message from the cosmos, fertility. What did I just say about the roots? That is what we're anchoring in. Our roots, we want to fortify that right now. We're not going to see the manifestation right away. What happens is this is where the seeds go down and they start to plant roots underneath the surface. That's what we want to see. And so we need to believe in that, the fertility of this experience, what we are planting without seeing it. That is our challenge right now. Allow me, divine, to move with the flow and respond with calmness and peace. Let things come, let things go. Trust yourself and your boundaries. And from the place of harshness, begin to soften. This is what we're doing now. There's we're tired of feeling so rigid. So we want to soften a little bit. That's what we're going to do now. Let ourselves relax a little bit. Open back up. Let these walls back down because now we trust ourselves. We've gone through so much. We've healed from so much. We can trust ourselves now. It's time to stop listening to those old voices and listen to who we are at our core. Soften and open back into love all day long. Damn, this is why I love doing this, and you know it. Whew, I just got chills. What did I mean, y'all, come on, just whatever. Okay, forget it. I can't even this always, because these are so wild to me every single time. Our very last message, together. I love working together with others and how it makes once impossible dreams possible. I see there is strength in unity and how much we can accomplish together. Asking for help is not weak. It is powerful. I love you. Thank you so much for being here.